Welcome to the Nourish to Thrive podcast, faith-forward, science-backed strategies for women who want more energy, less weight, and real answers. I'm your host, Tanya Pennington-Miller, a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and functional blood chemistry specialist with a master's degree in applied clinical nutrition. If you're tired of feeling dismissed by your doctor, confused by your labs, and stuck in survival mode, you're in the right place. Here, we simplify the science, we get to the root, and we anchor it all in truth. Because God made your body to heal and thrive, not just survive. It just needs the right kind of support and less noise. Hello, my friend. Welcome into the Nourish to Thrive podcast. I'm so glad you're back with me today. We are continuing our series that I have been calling What Your Body is Trying to Tell You. And over the last several episodes, we have talked about waking up around 3 a.m., struggling to fall asleep, the 3 p.m. energy crash that tends to come, cravings, and then last week we talked about fat loss slowing down. So today I want to take a step back and we're going to kind of look at the bigger picture, because one of the most common things that I hear from women in this season is, I just don't sleep the same way I used to. It's lighter, it's easier to disrupt, and it just doesn't take much to throw it off. So we're going to walk through what's actually changing beneath the surface when sleep starts to feel different overall. Because this one is not about one isolated issue. Like, I'm not talking about the 3 a.m. wake up, or I can't fall asleep, or I can't stay asleep. Like, this one is about a shift in how the entire system is functioning. Because as you move through your late 30s and into your 40s and beyond, a few things are happening at the same time. Hormones are changing, our stress load is accumulating, and recovery becomes so much more essential than before. It is absolutely no longer optional. And as that happens, our sleep becomes more sensitive. It's more responsive to what's happening throughout the day. So instead of sleep being something that just happens at the end of our day, right? Like it now becomes a reflection of how our entire system is being supported day after day. And that's the shift that so many women start to feel in this season. So let's talk about signal number 1, and that is progesterone decline. With a progesterone decline, we tend to see less deep and restorative sleep. So our sleep just becomes lighter. As ovulation becomes less consistent in this season, progesterone naturally begins to decline. And we generally start to see this around the age of 35. And progesterone isn't just a reproductive hormone, although it's that too, but that's not the only thing it is. It plays a direct role in calming our nervous system. It's kind of like this happy hormone. It supports GABA activity in the brain, and GABA is what kind of makes us feel like everything's going to be all right in the world. It really helps the body to slow down, to settle, and just move into those deeper stages of sleep. So as progesterone begins to drop, the nervous system has less of that built-in calming support. And what this often looks like is sleep that feels lighter, sleep that's easier to disrupt, and sleep that just doesn't feel as deeply restorative as it did before, even if you're getting the same number of hours of sleep. So it's not just about how long you're sleeping, it's about the depth and the quality of the sleep from start to finish. Okay. And you can often see this if you wear like an Oura ring or a Garmin watch or an Apple Watch. You may have noticed a shift in your stages of sleep where you're just getting more hours of that light sleep, less hours of that deep sleep, and maybe even less hours of that REM sleep. Okay. It can have to do with this reduction in progesterone. So let's move into signal number 2, because our cortisol rhythm becomes easier to disrupt. Cortisol is still following a daily rhythm, but in this season now, that rhythm becomes more sensitive to how our days are lived. So what we're doing in the morning, how we're eating, how much stress we're carrying, how well we recovered the night before. all of that feeds forward into how cortisol behaves later in the day. So instead of this, rise in the morning and a gradual decline into the evening as it should be, you might start to see more fluctuation there. And when cortisol stays elevated later than it should, or it's rising at the wrong time, the body has a harder time fully transitioning into sleep because cortisol and melatonin, they work in opposition of each other. So when one is up, the other should be down. So even if you feel tired, your system might still feel slightly activated beneath the surface. And I think what many women notice in this season is that their sleep becomes more reflective of their day as a whole. So those higher stress days, maybe eating a meal too late at night, like those things are going to show up in our sleep. So it's really important to understand that it's not just about our heads hitting the pillow and falling asleep. It's like our sleep tonight is dependent upon what we did this morning and what we did throughout our day. Okay, so that's signal number 2. Let's move on to signal number 3. Our nervous system carries more load into the night. And in this season, we're just simply carrying more throughout our days. We have more responsibility, more decision-making, more ongoing mental and emotional load. And our nervous system is taking all of that on throughout the day. So by the time evening comes, it's not just that you're physically tired, it's that the system has been stimulated for most of the day without a full reset. And when that happens, the transition into that parasympathetic, that rest and digest state, that rest focus state becomes less automatic. The body doesn't always shift cleanly from go, 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 do, into resting. So it stays slightly elevated. And that can feel like lying down tired, but we're just not like fully settled yet. It can look like a mind that keeps moving even when your body is so tired. It can feel like a lack of clear drop into that deeper restorative rest. So even though the sleep might be there, the nervous system hasn't fully transitioned into it. I so often recommend to my ladies who, are still in this place of the busy, the go, the work, the taking care of, making sure that at least a few times a day you stop to intentionally breathe. Yes, we're breathing but taking intentional belly breaths can truly have such an effect on your sleep at night. Okay, let's talk about signal number 4. Our sleep becomes more sensitive to our environment. So things that didn't used to affect our sleep, they do now. So light exposure into the evening, eating late meals, screen time at night, and again, stress throughout our days. And so what's happening here is that the margin gets smaller. The system becomes more responsive to how our days are structured and then how the evening is supported. Because as overall resilience changes in this season and generally not for the better, the body has less of a buffer for disruption. So instead of being able to push through a late dinner or a high stimulation evening without much impact, those things now carry more weight. And because sleep is now more closely tied to the overall rhythm of our days, those choices show up more clearly at night. So you might start to notice that what used to feel neutral now has a noticeable effect. And that's not your body becoming difficult. It's your body becoming more responsive to what it's been being given. And I hear this a lot from women as we're entering this phase. I used to be fine drinking wine at night. Now, when I drink wine, I get hot flashes, right? So no, drinking wine didn't used to give you hot flashes in your younger years, but now it does. And so those are things that we have to pay attention to. So let's talk about some practical shifts that can help to support your sleep in this season. So there's a few places that we can start here. So let's go with number one, which is create a true wind down window. So you want to give your nervous system time to transition out of the day. So this is not just about turning the lights off and your head hitting the pillow and you get into bed. This is about creating a gradual shift out of stimulation. Lower the lights, step away from the screens. I like to do a nice skincare routine, dim the lights in my bathroom, and just really allow your body to move into a calmer state before you expect it to go right into sleep. Okay. Number two, I feel like I talk about this one all the time, but it's just really that important. Get consistent morning light. Truly, morning light helps to anchor your circadian rhythm, and it sets the tone for your cortisol rhythm throughout the entire day. Not only your cortisol rhythm, but your melatonin rhythm. Even 5 to 10 minutes of natural light within that first hour of waking can really help to set and establish that diurnal rhythm that we're looking for with our cortisol pattern. Okay. This is going to support a smoother transition into sleep later that night. I mean, it's incredible how it works. So personally, I love 20 minutes, but again, even 5, if that's all you have, get 5 in and you'll notice the benefit. Now, the gold standard is stepping outside and getting the natural sunlight in your eyes, which is awesome because it's free. Okay. I've talked about this before too, but I wake up before the sun is up, like pretty substantially. Okay. I'm an early riser, always have been. So I don't have the option of stepping outside when I wake up because there is no sun yet. So I do use the Luminet 3 light therapy glasses because I can just put those on and go about my morning. Okay. And I'm going to get the benefit of that sun. I will again leave you a link in the show notes with a 15% off code for those. Okay. In case you are somebody who wakes up before sunrise. Okay. Number 3, you can support your progesterone naturally. So progesterone is so closely tied to how supported the body feels overall. So this comes back to how we're eating, how we're training, how much we're asking of our bodies day after day. So if we have, consistently long gaps without eating, maybe consistently we're not eating quite enough, we're in a caloric deficit. If we are pushing hard in our workouts without much recovery, if we're going from one thing to the next without much space to come back down, these are the patterns that are going to keep our system in more of a go mode. Okay. And when your body stays in that place for too long, it has a harder time shifting into the kind of state that supports deep restorative sleep. Okay. And on the other side of that, regular, well-balanced meals, strength training with recovery built in, and even small moments during the day, like I was talking about earlier, of just that intentional belly breathing where we're just really slowing things down. It not only helps our system to feel more steady, but that steadiness is what allows progesterone to stay more supported. It's what helps our body settle more fully at night. So this is why in that second phase of our cycle, okay, post-ovulation, now into our luteal phase, this is why we don't want to do too much fasting in this phase, because we're trying to produce as much progesterone as we can, and fasting doesn't support that. Okay, so it's really important to understand that we can actually support our bodies into producing more progesterone. Okay, number 4. We can reduce evening stimulation because sleep is now more sensitive, right? So our evenings matter so much more than they did before. The late meals, the alcohol, the high stimulation, the bright light, like all of these things have more of a noticeable impact now. So, and we don't have to be perfect here, but even just being more aware of how our evenings are structured can make a significant difference on how easily your body settles into sleep. Like it can be something as simple as like turning off all the main lights in your house and you have a lamp, like old school, just lamp that is not overwhelming. Okay. Because that bright light is what tells your brain it is still daytime. Body, don't produce melatonin. Okay. And that's not what we want. We want the most melatonin being produced at night. And then number 5, we can pay attention to our daily load. So again, sleep does not start when our head hits the pillow. It truly now reflects how our entire day has been carried. Your pace, how much you've had on your plate, how you've eaten, how you've moved, whether there's been any real space to come down throughout the day. All of these things shape how your nervous system shows up at bedtime. And when the day has felt full from wake to trying to go to bed, when you've just been on most of the day, sleep often feels lighter, feels a little more restless, a little easier to disrupt. So instead of only focusing on what you're doing right before bed, it's really helpful to step back and look at the full rhythm of your day. Because the way your body is supported throughout the day is what determines how easily it can settle at night. I remember when I was going through all of this, through the adrenal exhaustion, and I was like waking my husband up throughout the night because the slightest snoring, it was like, you're snoring. And I'm thinking, I've been married to this man for a while. Like, why is his snoring always waking me up now? Well, he hadn't changed, but my sleep had become so much lighter. So if you've been noticing that, it might be you and not them, okay? So when sleep starts to feel different, trust me, I know it can feel so frustrating because you're doing many of the same things that you've always done, but your body is now not responding the same way. So when you step back, you can usually notice a pattern there. Sleep responds to how the body has been supported. It responds to our pace, to stress, to nourishment or lack thereof, to whether there's been space to come down throughout the day. And when we look at this through a faith lens, it starts to make more sense. Like, God didn't design your body to run at a constant pace and then suddenly shut off at night, right? Like, He designed it with rhythm, a natural flow between effort and rest, between being poured out and being filled back up. And when that rhythm gets stretched too thin, sleep is often one of the first places that it shows up as a signal that something needs to be supported differently. I want you to see it as an invitation to slow down, to come back into alignment, to live in a way that allows your body to receive rest and not just chase it. Because rest was never meant to be something to force. It's something God designed your body to enter into when it's being supported the way it's created to be. And when you begin to move back into that rhythm, the body often follows. It settles more easily. It rests more deeply because you came back into alignment with how it was designed. If your sleep has been feeling different in this season, I hope that something from this episode helps you. Okay. Next week, we're going to continue the series by looking at another really common experience, and that is why your body suddenly feels inflamed. Because just like sleep, that shift is also telling us something about what's happening beneath the surface. So thank you for spending this time with me today, and I will see you right back here next week, sister. That's it for today on the Nourish to Thrive podcast. If you found value here, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or send it to someone who's walking a similar path. Keep showing up, keep asking questions, and know that healing is possible, especially when you trust the one who designed your body to heal. Until next time, stay rooted in truth and nourished in grace.